Okay. And I am going to ask the chief to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Okay, join in the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
to America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. I'm going to turn to roll call with Miranda. If you wouldn't mind taking roll call.
Andy Smith,
Present.
Scott Dorman,
Here.
Ryan Leahy,
He's missing, he is out ill.
and Jeff Robbins,
here.
and John Smith.
Here.
Thank you. Turning now to public comment. Does anyone present have any comment or? Oh, we're doing that. I really need him next week. I tend to skip ahead sometimes. All right, well, have all of you, board members had an opportunity to take a look at the agenda for tonight's meeting? Yes?
Yep.
Could I have, do we have any discussion, any comments, concerns, changes, anything? All right, may I then have a motion to approve the agenda for the March 23rd board meeting?
I'll move to approve the agenda for the March 23rd, 2026 meeting as presented in our board book.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carried. All right, now I will turn to the public. I'm going to ask if any of you have any comments that you would like to make. Okay, moving to item 6 on the agenda, the approval of the agenda line. Right. Approval of the minutes from the February 23rd, 2026 board meeting. Have all of you had an opportunity to take a look at the minutes from the February 23rd, 2026 board meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Any comments, questions, changes, concerns about those?
Nope.
May I then have a motion, please, to approve the minutes from the February 23rd, 2026 board meeting?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carried. I'm on the right agenda now. They all look the same at the very beginning. And then I got to pension meeting minutes and thought, okay, so something appears to be amiss. All right, let's move on then to item 7A, financial matters. As I mentioned, our treasurer is out ill and is not able to attend this evening's meeting. He did email me though and told me that he reviewed the entire board book. He had no changes or concerns about anything in the board book. So I do have that input from him that you should be aware of, and I can forward any of you that email that might like to see it. So he will not be giving the treasurer's report, but I do understand that we have, who is with us? It's not
Stephen.
It's Stephen Rodriguez. Stephen, can you hear us?
Yes, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, great. Thank you very much, members of the board. Unfortunately, Ben was not available today, so I'll be providing the financial report. We're 2 months into the new year. There's not really much going on. Our tax levy revenue is a little under budget for the month, but I don't anticipate any issues with that. I anticipate for March and the next couple months we'll be getting our big tax hit for the year, so I think we'll be fine on that. Revenues, there's not much trend to go off of, but we're under budget at this moment. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions, but that's a quick update on the financials 2 months into the fiscal year 26.
And have you all had an opportunity to look at the February paid bills with Ryan? Well, why don't we pull them up? I've reviewed them and, Ryan said he had, reviewed them and had no issues with anything on them. So I'm gonna go ahead and have them brought up for all of us to look at one last time before I call for a motion to approve the February paid bills. Have you all had an opportunity to look at those in your packet?
They weren't in my packet.
Never a packet.
With that, I,
Oh, they're here.
It's
Yeah,
monthly
I saw 'em.
disbursements.
Monthly disbursements.
the monthly disbursement.
I didn't
It
see.
should be page 25 through 28 in the board book. Hopefully.
I don't have my computer with me, but I didn't see it in there.
I remember seeing it.
All I saw was the agenda items and didn't have a different attachment. Had to go to the web.
So
I
I,
was the same. The only thing I had was the agenda and mine.
in the email, I wrote you that the board book was too large to send as an attachment and that you would have to go download it from our website.
Okay, so I missed that, I guess.
I missed that note. Okay.
This is what it says when you go to that link,
Cause
I did the same.
can I ask you a favor then? Can you print out just the paid disbursements? And distribute those, have somebody distribute those, and I'm gonna bring us back to this issue later, because I don't think we can. I think we need to approve the paid bills for February, so,
She's working. Okay, I can just, Miranda, I can just copy it.
and we'll circle back to that issue, and I've got a new computer and I can't log on anymore.
This one.
That link right there.
So much for getting to pull it up on my computer, somebody. All right, so while we're waiting for that, why don't we turn to the item B, which is the discussion action rate adoption of wildfire resiliency code, which is resolution 2026-05. John, would you like to start discussion of that?
Sure. You ready?
Yes.
We'll start with my report. And I have an apology to make. I didn't realize till about 2 hours ago, I missed a couple of comments that Ashley had made in the document, not in her email. So we'll try to get through those and make sure we cover them all.
Can you tell me which ones those are?
What's that?
Can you tell me which comments those?
We'll go through them.
We'll go through them. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and if it would be helpful, instead of what was in the board book, we can pull up her document that has all the comments. If a couple people don't have the board book in front of them, I would suggest we do that. I just emailed it from Miranda.
I have it in front of me. I don't know about,
I-
it looks like Scott does.
That's your red line from the last meeting.
It's changed since. then.
It's changed
That's-
quite a bit since then. Well, I can tell you that I've gone through and looked at the red line version, the new red line
Right.
version and version, and I've compared it to the old red line version, and I could see where you responded to all of our comments. I know that Ashley had some things to add to it,
She did.
particularly as around the definition of parcels and things like that, but I thought I saw a couple of those things in the version that you distributed, so I'm not sure what
And
is
maybe
missing.
I'm just making sure we're on the right version. So,
Okay, well, we
It
definitely.
it
want
came
to-
late Friday and I didn't review it till again today.
Okay. All right, so why don't we walk through it then? and-
Okay. I'm gonna start then. If you think we got it in that other red line version, I'm gonna start with that one.
I have, wait, you emailed me. That's what you.
Okay. We'll walk through that. It's all the same. All right, and we'll try to capture any of the changes. We can go to page 6. Nope, we already captured that change. He's talking about the square footage of
I think the first change might be on page 10, where I asked you all to add the word established.
yeah, we added the word established. In the general 106.1. We
And-
deleted construction documents because that was repetitive. So section 108 was deleted. as repetitive in the appendix.
Right, and that had been deleted in the one we reviewed in our working session. The
Yep.
next issue that we raised, Scott and I tended to be pretty in sync with our comments, as I recall. If I missed something though that you raised that I don't address now, so it might be a good idea to bring up your comments. I believe the next section we were going to look at, that we looked at was 302.1. And 302.1
We,
is on page 14.
we had an additional, definition of parcel added.
Yes, okay,
Before we
so
go to that.
yes, we definitely needed to add the definition of parcel. Where is that?
Page 13.
Page
Find piece
13.
of property with fixed boundaries as identified by the county clerk and recorder's office.
And I don't have that in my.
That's why I think we have a version issue.
I
so
think you're right, we do
Let's
have.
go
a
with what's on the screen.
Okay, at a defined piece of property with fixed boundaries as, can we make that a little bit bigger? As identified by the county clerk and recorder's office, yeah, that's fine by me.
Yeah, I didn't have the issue, but again, I'm just trying to make you aware of any changes since the study session.
And since the version that we distributed in the board book.
Right.
Yeah, okay,
And
perfect.
now I think we go to 302.1.
Now I think you're right. That was the next thing, 302.1. There were a couple of issues raised around this. One was the vagueness of the term maintained insofar as it seemed to be not, it didn't refer back to section 101.8. And looking at it now, you have made the change so that maintain in accordance with section 101.8 would then essentially mean maintain in accordance with the code provisions that had existed at the time that the structure was built. Okay.
The next change would be 303.1.2. And this is where we added back in the fire intensity.
All the classifications, yes.
Okay, so that whole section gets put back in. There was some discussion.
There is a portion of it deleted in 303.3. Structures and parcels identified with low fire intensity classification shall be constructed and maintained, so on and so forth. And I'm assuming that was deleted because we won't have any
We don't have any class-
low fire intensity classifications.
no class one structure hardened.
Okay. But I think the reasoning behind, as I understood, is I believe this is one of the issues Scott raised, which I agree with, is that this language does really help give people an understanding of why things are classified the way they are and why things are happening the way they're happening. Okay, so the next issue, let's see here.
Would be 304.2. And this was where we had quite a bit of language change.
Yes, this was where it wasn't clear that people weren't going to have to try to do something on other people's property. The way that it was drafted, clearly the legislature didn't intend for us to be imposing obligations on people to do some work on their neighbor's property. So the language here then is, as I see it, or I don't see it. Where is it here?
This was in Ashley's email. Which I think I've included. This is where we got into, for me, we got into a version problem. Well, give me just a minute. And if you'll allow me, I'll read what I am recommending from the final version of the code, the clean version.
Yeah,
And I apologize for the version control issue here, but it's hard to keep. 7 different people's ideas in one. All right. So let's look at 304.2 up on the screen so we can compare. So this is what I'm recommending, and this includes Ashley's recommendations, but adds a sentence at the end of the paragraph. As determined by the code official, the fire intensity classification, I changed that instead of the wildfire hazard area. And associated requirements shall be based on a review of the vegetative fuels on the parcel, including but not limited to topography, local weather patterns, and fire behavior modeling data. When reviewing the vegetative fuels on the parcel, consideration should be given to the vegetative fuels within 300 feet of the parcel boundary. Although there is no requirement that a parcel owner be responsible for any other parcel owner's compliance with the code when seeking to obtain a permit.
Can you bring up the version you're reading from so we can see exactly what we're approving?
Yep. Do you want to grab it? You want me to email it to you?
No, I want you to put it up here, so, because we're gonna be approving this language, right?
Right. I'm not
You can
sharing.
tell me which version, because I have a lot of versions.
It's the final draft.
It's the one you had up that had the
The one
definition of
in the
parcel in
board
it,
book.
No,
the one that had definition of parcel in it that you had up just a bit ago.
or no, we did change it, but I added a sentence to it. Go ahead and pull up the one I sent you for the board book. I'm sorry.
For the board book, this is the final code. What page are we on? I'll find
It
it.
should be on page 17.
I just wanna make sure that what's up there is what we're going to be approving, because we need to be really super clear about what we're approving
And
here.
that, unfortunately, there was a minor change.
Yeah.
And I have the final version, so that's why I wanted to bring it up.
17.
So is that gonna be displayed up here at all?
I can
Three,
email it.
three, what?
Or,
Do that.
Here.
Let's do,
sorry, and again, I apologize, I didn't see. the
it's okay,
discrepancy
no, it's
until
okay,
2 hours ago.
no worries, but if you could, please. Email that to her so she can display it, and let's maybe start back at the beginning and walk through every change that we're adopting. I wanna make sure that every board member here knows what they're looking at. And that we are all in agreement and have had an opportunity to discuss all of that.
While he's doing that, would you like to go back to the paid bills?
Sure, while we're waiting for him to do that, why don't you all take a minute to look at the paid bills? I think that's a very good idea. I've looked at these already, and some of them were good.
We just double check and make sure it does the right one.
The large bullpen expenditure, that was the word ceremony, correct?
You can get it, Amanda.
Did you email them? Yes. Are we going back to that?
Sandy, you just want to finish the
Bills.
approval of the bills?
I do. Have you all had an opportunity to look at it? All right, Jeff. Jeff has not had an opportunity to do that, but there are three of us. Jeff, I think all three of us have had an opportunity now to review the paid bills for February.
Yes,
I'm just gonna move to discussion on that issue. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about the paid bills from February? They're on the screen for you, Jeff.
yeah, I don't have any questions.
All right, can I have a motion, please, to approve the February 2026 paid bills?
I'll make a motion. To approve the. Oh, what are we, February
February.
2026 paid bills?
Okay, and may I have a second, please?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carried. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
do you want to start over or you want to?
Well, let me go ahead and summarize what we've done so far, and you can maybe scroll for me. Why don't you scroll first, Miranda, if you don't mind, to page, I think it was, I want to say 10. Where the first change was in 106.1. We added the word established, so fees shall be established in accordance with the fee schedule. So that change was made, that came out of the work session. Then the next comes in the definitions, which I believe you said was around page 13, is that correct?
Yep, page
And
13.
we've added the definition of parcel, which all of us have agreed is a suitable definition for parcel. The next section then after that to deal that we have already discussed is in section
302.9.
302.1. And in 302.1, recall, we wanted to reference section 101.8 in connection with the word maintenance. To give clarity to the fact that people are not obligated to maintain anything beyond what was in effect by code at the time that it was built. The next section after that is 303. Well, all of 303, basically, we moved back in the fire, the fire intensity classifications that previously had been deleted because we're in a high-risk area, obviously. But as Scott pointed out, these descriptions give those who are reading and trying to comply with the code a better level of understanding as to why and how these classifications are made. The only difference to having to that in the sense that we did not, we did delete one portion in 303.3, which made reference to low fire intensity classifications because we don't have any low fire intensity classifications in this area. Did you all follow me on that? Okay, good. I think that catches us up to where we were. We are
Yes.
now looking at 304.2.
Right.
Which is where addition, remember, Emma and I will try to summarize briefly from our work session what the concern was here. The language previously was such that it seemed to suggest that permit seekers would be obligated in some way to do something on neighboring properties if that was a certain number of feet from the structure being considered for permit. That obviously was not something that made any real kind of sense, and I'm sure was contrary to not consistent with the legislature's intent. So that's the reasoning why behind creating the definition for parcel and then making it specific, making this section specifically reference parcels and parcel owners so that it's clear that a property owner is not obliged to extend their work beyond the boundaries of their own property. So why don't you go ahead and review now that change?
Okay. Yeah, and as it's stated up there, and this is language from Ashley, other than the last sentence of 304.2. You want to review that again, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so as determined by the code official, fire intensity classification and.
Where'd it go? I don't know.
I can pull, yeah,
There it is.
There it is.
The fire intensity classification and associated requirements should be based on review of the vegetative fuels on the parcel, including but not limited to topography, local weather patterns, fire behavior modeling data. When reviewing the vegetative fuels on the parcel, consideration should be given to the vegetative fuels within 300 feet of the parcel boundary. Although there is no requirement that a parcel owner be responsible for any other parcel owner's compliance with the code when seeking to obtain a permit. I also added to that because there was language in there that referred to those definitions below. Determination shall be in accordance with the following fire intensity classifications. And then we left those in instead of the original, we had deleted all the fire
Okay.
intensity classification.
Now, does anybody have any questions about this particular provision, or do you find these changes acceptable?
I think that makes it very clear.
Yeah, I just.
Not clear.
See what 3.2. Okay, so while you're referring back to these, okay, I get it, that makes it perfectly clear. Okay, good job, thank you.
Mhm.
So then the next change is, I recall. And the next issue that popped up was in section 5, is that correct? I don't believe there was any.
Yeah, I think everybody agreed on lumping the two classifications together. And then, yeah, section 502.1.
Let's just, I wanna flip through this real quick and make sure I don't see anything, I don't believe I did a comparison when I was looking at this, but I wanna make sure. I don't see anything here that is a problem with that to me. Okay, yes, in section 5, then is the next issue. As we discussed at putting back in the exceptions that were in the model code. In 502.1.2 and 1.3.
We did add a word in 1.1 as well, existing on a parcel.
Yes, good. We did, yes.
Then we put yeah, as you said, the exception went back in, and
Okay.
the plantings language we left in.
And we said with the exception of ignition resistant vegetation, yes, we had a long discussion about tomato plants. As I recall. Fire roasted tomatoes.
Yeah, that was
Worst
the
is
tomato
gonna-
discussion.
Yes, there was a lengthy discussion about tomato plants. Okay, and I believe on chapter 5, Vivi, but that
Change on 502.2.1, existing on a parcel is added.
yes, existing on a, again, we're trying to link things back to the definition of parcel and make it clear.
And then 502.3.1 also added related to a parcel.
Okay. Where, I don't see that. Oh, yeah, related to a parcel, it keeps. Yeah, okay. And then 503 class 2 requirements removed. Correct?
What was that?
And from the model code, 503 class 2 requirements were removed, so we shouldn't see that there.
Correct.
Right, so then we would go,
They're all
yeah,
together.
then the changes here, did we agree on a change that made specific that people can apply electronically?
Yes,
And is that language included here?
yes, it should be.
It should be,
A 101.3, I believe.
yeah, 101.3. There it is, on an electronic form, perfect. And then we had discussed the cooperation agreement or the need for one in 101.4, but I don't think we had decided we were gonna make any changes. Then there was a fairly lengthy discussion again about what I thought was sort of a partial sentence in appendix B 101.3. And I think that sentence became more fulsome, as I recall.
Yes, applicant shall identify, it's the last sentence of
Yes,
101.3. Applicant shall identify the fire intensity modification on the site plan submittal.
Okay. So to my mind, at least everything I raised and that I could remember Scott having raised from, and Hippie as well, from the the working session, does it look to you like it was
Yeah,
done?
it's like, you
All of
know,
yours?
so
Okay, and what about yours, Tom?
you guys have the notes. I just made comments as we went, but as far as I can see, I'm happy.
Okay, good. I tried to write everything down. Jeff, did you, were all of your comments and concerns captured in the review when we did the working session? Are you confident that they're here now in the code?
Yes, yeah, everything, it looks like everything was addressed here.
Okay. So then, I'm going to have, let's see, I want to go back to the agenda.
One more thing, President Smith, I did not add a signature line to the actual code software. I wasn't sure if that was needed or not. We have the resolution separate from the code, referencing the code.
Well, that's an interesting question. I don't think a signature to the
That's
actual
fine.
code is required. A signature to the resolution
resolution.
adopting the code is. Okay, so I'm gonna have a motion. I'd like to do this. I'd like to have someone make a motion to adopt resolution 2026 05, which is a resolution adopting the Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code Board's model. Okay, wait, there's a typo there. Resolution adopting the Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code. Why aren't we just saying the Colorado Wild with modifications?
Yeah.
Okay, can you bring that up so we can see what it is the motion is actually gonna be, because there's something wrong with it. So board's model code, those words would get deleted, I think. So it would be a resolution adopting the Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code with modifications.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes more sense, yeah.
So Miranda, if you don't mind at some point making that change,
I can fix Ashley's document.
yeah, I had reviewed the content of the code, and I just did not catch the problem in the title of the resolution.
Just, do you want it, just take resiliency code with modification?
Correct.
Okay.
And so what I would like to do is I would like a motion to back to this, approve to adopt, sorry, a motion to adopt resolution 2026 05, a resolution adopting the Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code with modifications. And then I'm going to open it up to discussion after I receive the second on that and before we vote.
I'll move to adopt the, let's see, resolution number 2026 05, a resolution adopting the Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code with modifications.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
That was you, Hippie?
Yes.
Okay, before I open it to a vote, is there any discussion on this issue? On the adoption of this resolution?
No, thanks, John, for all your work on this, and I know it was a lot of work. And we probably didn't make it any easier for you with our changes and things, but appreciate that. I think that we've got a good code that we can live with.
Thanks for that.
You did a very good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, you were very effective. You did a very good job. Thank you.
I agree.
Glad to have it done.
Oh, yes, you are. Is there any other substantive comments or any other issues anyone wants to raise relative to this resolution before we vote? Jeff?
Nope.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carried.
President Smith, couple comments.
Yes, sir.
Before we go on. I think many of you know that I've been involved with fire prevention related things for a good part of my career, probably a good third to maybe half. I've been involved with the processes that we've just gone through. And as you've already said, I want to thank John for his perseverance over a long period of time, years. getting to where we are today. So thank you, John, for that, and I think it's gonna be something that you're gonna look back on as time goes by.
Mhm.
Of a major career accomplishment, that benefits the citizens, the properties, this district. I also wanna thank you as a board, for sticking with this and providing the guidance and the input, and especially the detail that you've gone through over the last couple of months. We wouldn't have the document in place without your involvement. And again, I think that, your actions are gonna make it much easier to go back to the town with, because now you can say you dealt with all of those detailed issues. And again, we all know that wildfire is the biggest risk that we face in this jurisdiction, in this part of the country. And this is gonna go a long way for helping future generations deal with this risk. So on behalf of all of us, I wanna say thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for that. He had several single-space handwritten notes about detail. I've been looking at them. But thank you, that's much appreciated. All right, so we're gonna move on now to item 7C. Congratulations on us getting through the code, you guys. That was pretty, that was a lot of work, but we did a good job, all of us. Okay, so this is discussion action rate fire chief recruitment and selection. And I'm going to turn it over to you to sort of introduce the topic.
Okay, board, this is, we're gonna be walking through 3 actual agenda items to kick off and operationalize this fire chief search process. The first one has to do with asking you to approve the schedule and the process. There are 2 documents in your board packet. One is the signed work plan that, was approved. Well, actually, you approved the contract with them, and then, President Smith signed this a few weeks ago. So that's already been done. What we're gonna ask you to do tonight is to approve the schedule and the process. And since you may not have it in your packet, I made copies here for. You've got one.
Oh, I did. I clicked the link.
And I don't know if there's anybody else out here in the audience that would like a copy of those, but there's some more right there. I'm gonna pull this board up here. I'm not sure everybody can see it, but Jeff, have you seen it in the board book?
Yeah, no, I didn't see it, and unfortunately, that link didn't work for me. I'm not sure what that was about, but I can see it right now. I'm good.
See you right now. I'm gonna show you the major points of this process. March 9th, you had a kickoff meeting with your consultant. Today is the first major next step, where we're gonna ask you tonight to adopt or approve the schedule and the process. Later on, you're gonna talk about search committee as well as approving the job description. So that's all what you're doing tonight, so it's kind of important tonight. The next big date will be on the 9th of April, which is just a little over 2 weeks away. At that time, one of our consultants will be in town, and they will walk us through a process by which they will build the candidate profile. And there will be opportunities. He'll interview groups of our volunteers, our auxiliaries, our paid staff, our division chiefs, as well as possibly some people from the town. We're thinking about the town administrator and the police chief are probably the 2 there that we interact the most with. He'll also provide an opportunity to interview individually board members. Now, his preference would be to do that by telephone or video conference individually with all of you after that day. However, they can do it on that day if you would like to be interviewed that day. So please let me know in the next couple of days whether you want to be interviewed on that day or whether sometime later in that week would be fine. Again, so they're gonna be from that, they take all that information and they create the profile of what you're looking for, what the organization is looking for in the next fire chief. Then they will meet with the search committee and staff. And when I say staff, that's usually me providing the staff administrative support to the search committee. And they will bring that information forward and we'll ask the search committee to approve that. Then they'll go into, mid-April to mid-May, we'll have the advertising. And they'll talk, up here when they're here about what that advertising strategy will be. As far as getting it out and around, and there are avenues that they use for that. Okay, the next big day is gonna be on the 29th of May. That's a Friday. That is when the search committee will take the semifinalists that the consultant suggests and narrow it down to 3, 4, or 5 people at that time. What the search committee will do is they will review all the written documentation, including the interviews that the consultant has done, and they will also interview the semifinalists by video conference. So that's gonna be a long day for the search committee. And you haven't chosen that search committee yet, you'll do that in the next item. So that's gonna be a long day for that search committee, starting early in the morning, probably going to the afternoon. And the objective at the end of that day is to have 3, 4, or 5 candidates, of which then will come in on June 17th and 18th for on-site interview and on-site process. This will be very similar to what you've done before. All the consultants do it a little bit differently, but they all have basically the same thing. They'll come in on, I believe this is a Wednesday, and they'll come in the afternoon, and we'll split them up and take them for tours of the district. Then they'll come back, and then we'll have the meet and greet function with the community and with our volunteers and our employees and such. You've been through that before. And the next day will be interviews, the panel interviews based on the stakeholders. The search committee will work with the consultant to design that day of how that all will work. Then on the 22nd, which is only 4 days later, this is Thursday and this will be your meeting on Monday. That will be your opportunity then to begin to consider those finalists. And how you want to do that, I think, is something you'll need to talk about when you get closer. You know, there are provisions of which you can do an executive session. And then there's provisions where you can do no meetings. And I think our attorney has provided you with guidance on how to do that. And when we get closer, we can go through that. I think you'll have to make that decision of whether you want to do executive session or. Of course, in executive session, you would not be able to make a decision about who your final candidate or 2 candidates would be. You'd have to come back into an open meeting to do that. So as we get closer, you might want to discuss this with your attorney. Probably, I'm guessing maybe at the May meeting, bring her on and talk about that specifically of how you want that process to work. After the 22nd, depending on.
I think also the search committee can make a recommendation on that as well and have conversations with the attorney. I think what I know of this board and what I feel myself is that we're going to lean hard toward open session and, you know, only go into executive session where we're dealing with things that really aren't appropriate for a public session. And I think that we can make a recommendation to the full board on what it can, you know, whoever the committee is, that committee can then make a recommendation to the full board on how they think that meeting ought to transpire and what ought to be executive session.
Okay, so they will, the search committee will be one of these groups that will meet with the candidates. And then after that, after you identify your 1 candidate or possibly 2, then you go through all the legal process. There's a waiting period. Then they'll have to be, you know, you'll have to be in an open session, make a decision, and then work with your attorney to make an offer and go through that negotiation process. And there are special timelines in there that your attorney will outline to you. And you've been through this before, so you know the process. So sometime in early July, probably in that process, your board meeting in July, you could then make the final decision. Or before that in a special board meeting, and then that means bringing on somebody sometime in August or early September, depending on where they come from. So we're asking you tonight to approve this schedule in the process. I just want to make sure that, you know, this is a big day here. this is a big day here, and so there are probably 3.5 days of a lot of process for, especially the search committee is the big one. Yes,
During the process of the interviews and stuff. Will there be video? I get a lot, I mean, I can read what's on a piece of paper, but I get a lot from body language and.
That's what I've requested, not that I'm necessarily be on the committee, but because we haven't decided on that yet, but. In terms of the interviews of the semifinalists, I've requested that those be by video. It's very important to me to be able to see the person's face, hear them answer questions, see how they answer questions.
Right.
but that'll be just the search committee. When the finalists will actually be on site.
In person.
In person.
Oh, okay, all
Yeah,
right.
the last 3 to 5, well, they will be here, face to face. There's no video portion of
I
that.
think they've made hotel reservations for them already and everything. I mean, you guys have reserved some
Yep.
rooms.
Yeah.
For that eventuality, since it's coming at high tourist season here. But no, those will be in-person interviews, with both the board as well as with various stakeholders and others in the community and people, volunteers, people within membership, all that.
I do remember that now.
All right. So
Okay.
we need to add your approval of this scheduling process.
All right, so I'd like a motion, please, to approve the fire chief search and selection schedule that was just reviewed with you.
I'll make a motion to approve the fire chief recruitment and selection and process procedure schedule.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion on this topic before we move to a vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carried. All right, turning now to the appointment and charging of the search committee. Do you want me to go over that?
I think you know which one.
So obviously we need to appoint a search committee, 2 members of the board, excuse me a minute. Yeah, frog in my throat. We can only really have 2 members of a board on the search committee because, otherwise every single meeting becomes public. So I think we need to have identified 2 board members to serve on the search committee. And we need to identify who else will serve on the search committee. And we've talked about having 2 volunteers. The division chiefs, Chief Jones. And this is just a proposal. What am I missing? And and Miranda. So, but that's, I think, and that's what we talked about, in our working session, in case you're all wondering, we had a working session. We made no decisions, but we kind of raised the issue of who ought to be on this committee and what would that look like? How do we want to think about it when we get to the board meeting? And so we talked through various permutations and ideas around, what the search committee might look like. And so, the proposal I would make based on the working session discussion that we had, at our last, when that meeting was, the 19th, that we create a search committee that's comprised of 2 board members, the 2 division chiefs, Chief Jones, 2 volunteers.
I think we need to clarify
And Miranda.
the division chiefs that
I've already talked to them.
Okay,
I think,
okay.
are you joining us today as a captain or a chief? Okay. And what date do you actually? begin?
13th of it will be my first day here.
Okay,
I
so
just-
I believe he'd be participating as the chief,
Right.
correct? And then we talked about, hoping that potentially we'd have one of the other volunteer captain. And then getting advice from the volunteer captain and from Chief Kearney, who obviously has strong connections to the volunteers, as to who else among the volunteers would be a suitable addition to the search committee.
I just wanted to make it clear, because right now we have a division chief and that's about to change. So
Yes, I'm,
That's just what
I
that's what
appreciate
I
that.
wanted.
I appreciate that, and I think that's a good clarification. So I guess the proposal would be the two division chiefs as that is obviously changing, and two division chiefs, obviously would be, Chief Kearney and Chief Landcamer. And then we'd have two, volunteer, members, one, if Rick is willing, it would ideally be him, and then he and, Captain Kearney, soon to be Chief Kearney, can make a recommendation to us as to who the other volunteer.
I'm still on. I asked him.
It's already been taken care of.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good, okay. No, he went off after the pension board meeting.
He joined back.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Rick? Can he talk?
And talk.
But it's been addressed.
I don't know. if you-
And,
Okay.
okay, well, no, we don't need to do that right now. I just wanted to make sure that he'd be willing to do it.
Oh, Rick, you want?
Rick.
I heard
correct.
and I'm in agreement. And Captain Kearney and I have reached out to other volunteers to get you a second one.
Thank you, okay. Well, that assumes that we're going to go with this construct. Can I just open for discussion what y'all think about that construct for the search committee?
I liked what we came up with in our
In the
last
work
meeting.
session.
Yeah, I'm okay with all that. Yeah, I am too, as long as everybody that's.
And Miranda's
involved is
willing to
okay.
serve on the committee,
Yeah.
yes, she
Yeah.
is. Now, I'll make sure she hadn't changed her mind either.
Right.
Not today. All right,
Cause we got to what, 7 people, I think it was?
I think it's 7 people, yes.
So we got,
Well,
Yeah.
8 including me, but I'm kind of really providing administrative support, so.
right,
Right,
plus, yeah, 7 plus chief.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna split this up into 2 motions. Because then I want to separately talk about the charge that we give to the search committee. So, let's, first, have a motion to create a search committee comprised of, Miranda Baxter, the 2 division chiefs who will be Chief Landcamer and, soon to be Chief Kearney, Captain Spear, and, a volunteer that is recommended by Captain, Spear and soon to be Chief Kearney. And I'm talking so much, I'm losing track, Warren Jones, and then 2 board members. Did I miss anybody? Can I have that motion?
Make that motion.
And may I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor, any further discussion on this topic?
What were you thinking, board?
We. Let's create the committee first and then we can pick 2 members for it. How's
Okay.
that?
Sounds good.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, no. The motion carried. All right, so then let's turn next to who among us should serve as representatives of the board on the committee.
Did we say it?
You said me.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you did say
Did we
that.
say something
Yes.
else?
Actually, I think in the work session, we only talked about 1 board member, not 2. That may be why it went from 6 to 7.
Yeah.
Do we want 2 members on the board? Do we, I think
I think.
we
I
probably
think
do.
it's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so, which of you fine gentlemen would like to be the second member of this committee?
I think it should be hot.
Say you got.
I really think it needs to be Scott, because he has a lot of experience with this.
Okay, it's gonna cost somebody a dinner.
Okay, fine, all right, I owe you a dinner. All right, I don't think we need I don't think we need a motion to do that, because I think I can just appoint people whenever I
Yeah.
want, and we can also generally just appoint people whenever, okay. Because that can change, and we've done it in the past, so, okay, we're not gonna do a motion for that. But it is on the record that the 2 board members who will be, on the search committee are going to be myself and Scott Dorman. All right, so now relative to the charge of the committee,
Okay, before
oh,
we
yes,
go, I just want to make sure that every board members, it's gonna be a long day on the 9th. The search committee will be involved in that, on the profile development. But you'll all be part of that. The big days are gonna be the semifinalists thing. That's gonna be a long day. So you need to make sure
I
that,
can do that. I arrived back from Europe the day before, so I may be a little sleepy, but I will be there.
that's probably the most critical day for the, and as well as the 9th of approving the profile. That'll be online. I mean, that'll be virtual.
Yeah, and the 9th, well, you mean the 17th? For approving the profile,
Oh, yes.
It's right here.
right? And I believe that, I already looked at my calendar for this, so Scott, you're gonna need to look at yours, make sure.
There may be an opportunity on the 9th to talk with the consultant about planning for the final interviews.
I mean, it was
The
17th.
17th of April and then the 29th of May.
29th, those are the big days.
Straight.
You're
Well, you're in.
you're in trouble. I would suggest a really nice weekend away, either before or after.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Was it?
The 17th of April.
Seventeenth
Okay,
and then May 29th.
May 29th. Yeah, that's good.
You good? Okay, all right, we're good. Okay, so now turning to the charge we want to give the committee. We've identified a few things in the board book. One is to assist, the committee will assist the consultants in acquiring input from stakeholders and developing a candidate profile. Hence the lengthy meeting to occur on April 17th, where we approve that profile of candidates. We then also review and approve the candidate profile and advertising strategy that's provided by the consultant. The search committee will narrow the list of semifinalists that are provided by the consultant to the finalists, and as part of that process, we'll engage in video interviews so that we can see and hear them and not just be looking at paper associated with their applications. And we're also, the committee also working with the consultant, but the committee will agree upon and design the interview process and identify the stakeholders. The interview process will probably look something like what does it look like for the police chief or for a similarly similar position of stature where you have several different groups who participate in interviews and evaluate the candidate, and then the search committee will evaluate that whole series of interviews by all of those different stakeholders and individual participants, and then we will come to a decision after video interviewing them all ourselves as to which of the candidates, say it's 10, 12, 15, whatever it is, will narrow it down to somewhere between 3, 5, 6 candidates. Okay.
And those interviews will be at the other building. We're gonna use that conference room there.
Okay, that makes sense. It's bigger. Okay, so that would be the charge to the committee. I'm gonna open it up for discussion now to see what you all think about that.
Well, I think it all needs to be done, so.
No.
It does.
I think it sounds good. This is gonna be along with our timeline that we're hoping to have somebody on board soon.
It looks like it might even be a little bit before our timeline of what we talked about, but yeah.
We'll get on that final person,
Yeah.
when they can be.
Right. But yeah, it looks, yeah, good job. Looks good.
So then, I would like a motion to charge the search committee with the points I just provided.
I'll make a motion for that.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carried. All right, so the next item to be discussed is the chief job description that was provided in your packet. Do we need to distribute that?
Oh, boy. Okay. Here's that.
You-
Let's go through them, you know, make copies and.
You know, we're gonna need the ones that you've provided as well. I think we just didn't, put the links, so.
Here's a.
It's up on-
Hey, why don't you put it up on the board and they can read it that way too, but it might be nice to have it in front of them as well.
And I really too, and all my copies of them as well. Next.
Okay, I can give you, oh, there we go. Is, yeah, there we go. The job description that you have, you'll see here in a couple minutes is up there is the same one. Job description at the fire chief for the last two processes. Really hasn't been any change. There hasn't been any change.
Well, the one we're considering has some changes to it compared to the one that was.
Yeah, but no content change. Oh, it's got the change, the significant change is there is specific, a little more specific wording in the equivalent experience of, thing, and actually this came from, let me go ahead and read that so that it's clear. Bachelor's degree in fire science, fire administration, and or related field, or a combination of education and experience that sufficiently enables the candidate to perform all the required functions of the fire chief position. That's the one that you modified, Andy.
Right. So that would be on the very first page,
Yep. under
under minimum required job skills and certifications. You guys don't need to give me these, because I actually have them, and I had the word book. But thank you.
And that's the only substantive change to the job description.
I mean, I went through and made some stylistic changes, but they weren't really substantive.
Oh, and we changed the job title from support and prevention to community risk reduction, you know, those.
But we're talking about the fire chief job description, yeah,
Make it consistent with the.
with the other changes that we've made. And Jeff, will it help you if we ask Miranda to kind of scroll through this so that you can review it? Miranda, if you go back, I'm so sorry to do this to you, but if you wouldn't mind, see right there, Jeff, under minimum required job skills and certification, there, the first bullet point under education and experience is really the main substantive change that was made to this from the job description that has existed previously. And that's where a bachelor's degree in fire science, fire administration, and or related field is required, or alternatively, a combination of education and experience that sufficiently enables the candidate to perform all required functions of the fire chief position.
Okay,
Do you see that?
I do.
Okay, and then I'll have Miranda scroll through it here for you a little bit slowly so you can see everything else so that you can vote with an adequately informed mind here.
Scroll up so I can see all the skills and abilities. There you go. Okay, keep going. Okay. Okay, more. Hey, on. Okay, keep going.
That's it.
Okay. All right, good. Yeah, that's all good. I just wanted to be sure that and everything is in there that indicated that, you know, what we're really looking for is a CEO. We're not looking for a necessarily for a fireman's fireman, you know what I'm saying? And this seems to satisfy that for me.
Yeah, and the details of that, when you meet with a consultant on the profile development day or week. On the 9th or that week of the 9th, you'll be able to talk to the consultant more about that. The consultant says in a situation like ours, they tend to call chiefs of department a working chief.
Everyone we talk about residents.
Yeah, you're right there.
Okay.
So that's there, what Sandy is getting at, there is one item I would ask you to think about. Right now, our job description says that the chief must live within our jurisdiction. Depending on who you talk to in the recruitment business, that may or may not be a limiting factor as far as people being able to come here and work. I have not found a residency required for fire chief and anyone that I've talked to. We can leave it just the way it is. I mean, it is important, and we're an isolated, area. However, it can tend to limit the recruitment pool.
What if we were to say something like within 45 miles of the district, the primary response area?
Yeah, that's certainly an option, either by minutes, from the district. 60 minutes, 45 minutes. The town of Estes Park Police Chief, I believe, is a 75-minute, non-emergency response, timeline. I was just talking to another district that's advertising right now, and theirs is 30 minutes to the district boundary. I talked to our consultant today, and he can't give us any kind of firm advice on it. He said that sometimes it's a factor, sometimes it isn't. He said he will get an indication when he starts getting calls from people and saying, hey, is there any flexibility in the residency? He'll get that. So one approach you could take, one is you could just not say it is a requirement. You could say it's preferred. And then use that as a negotiating, point. You could
Did
put,
we say strongly preferred?
well, I guess, that's. Another option is just leave it the way it sits right now, and if the consultant starts getting feedback that it might be limiting our pool. Come back to you and say, do you want to say that differently, or because you really don't meet at any time, you'd have to have a special meeting to do
That's what I'm
that.
worried about.
You could delegate it to the search committee. You could say to the search committee, hey, if you get a call from the consultant.
For somebody else.
I'm pretty strongly in the belief that they ought to live within our boundaries.
I agree 100%.
And if it comes to where we don't have any candidates, then we can deal with that at that time and say,
Okay.
we'll just, but
And do we want the search committee to have the flexibility to make that decision, or do we want to come back to a special meeting of the board?
like a special meeting board.
Okay.
All right.
Not that I want to have another meeting, but
I think.
No?
I think that it could go to the search committee. And the reason I say that is because you think they should live here. So it would have to be,
It would have to be a.
it would have to be a pretty
Problem.
firm argument,
Yeah.
to get it changed. I feel like with you, and I'm okay with that if Jeff is okay with.
Jeff, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, whether it should go back to the board or whether the committee can make the decision.
Yeah, I think that we have a pretty strong preference, that the candidate, for fire chief reside in the response area of the district.
Right?
Chief has been pointing out that there might be a possibility that we would have problems and that our police chief lives in Loveland, different situations where a chief may not be required to be that close. But at the same time, we have we have a pretty strong preference for the person to live in our response district, notwithstanding all of that. And so then the question is whether or not we give the search committee the flexibility to decide based on the candidate pool, whether we want to expand it a little bit or whether we want to hold another meeting of the board, like a special meeting of the board to decide it as a board.
I think it should be decided as a board.
Okay.
I'll go with that.
Yeah, so we'll just have so we'll keep it the way it is. The search committee will do its due diligence. And then if we feel the need to come back to the board, we'll just schedule and notice a special meeting for the board to decide what we do about the situation if that's how it develops.
Right, and we'll get probably in about the middle of the application period, probably in late April, early May, the consultant says, we'll probably start getting some idea whether that's an issue or not.
I feel like they should live here because I feel like the members of our community, they want them to be here and face us.
And they want to see them out and about. They want to be
Right.
able to
They
talk
want to go
to
to the
them.
grocery store or, you know, whatever it is. They want to see them all the time, not just here in an office. So, yeah, we'll discuss it if we have to later, I guess.
If I get a call from the consultant that says, hey, we're having some different, I think I'm losing some good candidates, bring it back. I'll
Okay.
bring it to the search committee first.
Yeah, let us talk about it, because we may think there are plenty of other good candidates that are willing to live up here and that we're okay, we're good with living with the candidate profiles that they're giving us. He and I can figure out if we need to come back to a special meeting.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want to live here? I agree.
Oh, I agree. Someone who can't afford it, probably, I think it's probably gonna be an affordability question. Right.
Okay.
Okay, you get paid pretty well, exactly. Okay, so, so there's no. Are there any suggested changes to the job description that's been presented to you?
I think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Jeff, did you say something?
Yeah, no, I said no, I was good with what was there.
Okay, so then can I have a motion to approve the job description for fire chief that was presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the job description.
And may I have a second, please?
A second.
Any further discussion on the job description for fire chief?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carried. Okay, nothing's good to you. All right, so the next item on our agenda is discussion / action for a new community risk reduction positions. We had discussed these at our last board meeting and we'll also be looking here in the not too distant future on our agenda on the organization chart, but I'll just try to refresh your recollection about the organization chart we looked at last time. And we had asked Division Chief Landcamer to come back to us with job descriptions for both the fire prevention officer as well as the wildfire risk reduction project specialist. He has done so. It was in the packet. You now have it in front of you. So if you want to take a moment to look at those two things that we did.
Yeah, you want to walk through them?
Yeah, why don't you do that? Go ahead and walk through them.
Okay.
Is this important that we vote on this tonight? Because I would like more time to look at this. This is pretty big documents.
I wouldn't say it's critical. I would really like to get moving on these positions, because it really impacts our ability to be prepared for the upcoming grants and the upcoming work that's on fire code side.
Okay, all right. My bad for not looking at it. So, right.
Well, let's let him do that and you just take,
So we want to walk through it and I can make it as quick as and ask questions.
yeah, let's do a detailed walkthrough so people really feel like they understand this better.
Okay. So if you look at the general statement of duties, this position really is focused on project development and project management, as well as grant management outreach. This or fuel reduction projects would be grant eligible. With the award that Limerick County won of the CWDG grant, I think it's appropriate to shift the focus of the wildfire division to focus on project management. To maximize hopefully those funds, if we have some shovel-ready projects, I should say chainsaw-ready projects. That'll help us get a piece of that pie to keep projects moving forward. So that first general statement of duties really talks about this. And these job descriptions were reviewed by CRS, CUPS, CRS, HR.
Yes.
So I made her changes that she recommended throughout this. I didn't bother to give you the red line version this time, but look up through it. I do in there, talk about coordinating grant applications, implementation and management. But I also want them to be able to do structured emission zone assessments, occasional basic chainsaw fuels reduction and slash removal. I really think that hands-on experience occasionally, it's not a large part of what I envision for this job, is important so they understand what they're asking others to do. So if you look at the essential functions, again, support the execution and implementation of the CWPP. Most of their work, I'm anticipating 75% of their work is working with partners, developing those grant eligible mitigation projects. Identifying the scope, working with contractors, develop, define scope and prescription for each project and document all phases of this process as they go through it. So we have good materials to report on our grant. And again, this will be funded out of 1A. I talked about the SIZ, structured emission zone assessments. Again, I think it's important to be a little cross-trained there with the education position. So they, again, are understanding what we're asking of our residents when we talk mitigation and fuel reduction work around their homes. And again, talking about good communicators, be able to talk with public, be able to talk about the codes, the adopted codes, which we just adopted tonight. So thank you for that. And again, that knowledge of wildfire risk reduction. I did put in there to generate, content for social media, press releases. I think it's really important to tell our story when we start on these projects. So people know what's going on in the community. Organizing public education events. You can scroll down a little bit there, Miranda. I think it's important this position is able to also do that and be able to talk to our citizens, present to groups that need it. And again, I'm looking for some a little more depth in our community outreach. Implement community risk reduction, educational programs, WUI fire code as it again identified. And again, this position would be supervised by myself. And working closely with district volunteers is really important. They've been great help when we do outreach programs. So we'll continue to get them involved.
When you're talking about, be able to talk to the community about what needs to happen and stuff, are you talking like Logan's position? Like what?
Similar information, yeah. I want all of our team to be speaking the same language.
Okay.
And that's why it's not a big part of this job, but I think it's really important that this person also have that capability to be
If
able to
somebody confronts them, they know what they're talking
speak the same language. We're all on the same page.
Yeah.
We're all telling the same story.
Okay.
I'm managing our projects consistent with what we're telling people.
Right.
And of course, we gotta throw in the other duties as assigned. And may respond to emergencies as assigned in support of our mission. Again, supervision would be me. They may supervise some wildfire risk reduction volunteers, non-exempt, 40 hours a week. Compensation, I would like this position to be in the specialist 1 classification. We can talk more about that at the end, but that's the salary range of the specialist 1. So again, I'm looking at this as a project specialist, be able to develop projects and be able to do those prescriptions and scope of work for these fuel reduction projects they'd be managing. Residency, we decided to post it out and not require it in our discussion. Again, education, pretty basic stuff there. Included the 3rd bullet point at our discretion, any equivalent combination of education experience. 18, good driver's license, CPR, AED, the required FEMA, that's required of all of our employees, including all volunteers. And then additional desired job skills. I think it's really important for this position to be a wildland firefighter, again, for that experience. I think it's really important. So I would encourage that as part of the position. Again, it's a desire but not required. That structured usage on assessment, again, some cross training internally. Make sure we're solid and we're all speaking the same language. And then some experience with some of these national programs. DFPC Fire Instructor 1, I think is an important thing to also work towards. As well as this is a new one that I added, the NFPA Certified Wildfire Mitigation Specialist. It's the certifications out there that NFPA offers. And I'm gonna encourage my staff to pursue that. And ICS 300 just as, again, looking at depth in the organization when we have major incidents. Pretty basic competencies, pretty standard language for work environment, physical demands. So if there's no question, can you scroll down to that, Miranda, so they can see the last few sections. There's no questions on that part. I'll take any questions on any part of that job description.
All right, so let's open it up for discussion to this job description.
Thanks, John, for going through that.
Sure, we can jump right into the next one. I got three for you to consider and talk about. And the last one is just a modification that I want to talk about for sure.
On this one, I just want to make sure, as I understand what you're saying, having someone who has experience, having been a firefighter is important because it's important to understand what they're doing in terms of the project and contract management and grant management and the like. But that is not going to be a requirement of the job. They're not going to be a firefighter. This isn't a firefighting position. It's really much more of a significant contract management, project management, that kind of position. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But again, fire behavior plays into everything we're recommending, so an understanding of that, of what
Okay, I
the
understand.
projects they're developing, that's why I think it's important. That's why it's.
You want
again,
someone
it's
to
preferred.
have had the experience in that area so they understand the concept of how.
Or to continue to
wildfire
gain experience.
Okay.
Yeah, and part of it for me is when we had the opportunity to go partner with the Park Service when they're doing a prescribed fire. To me, that's the best case scenario for somebody to get experience. They see fire behavior. They're not worried about putting it out and saving somebody's house. But they get to see how fire behaves on the landscape, how it interacts with whatever forest they're burning that day. So I just feel it's really important to the position that they have a good understanding of fire behavior. Wildfire behavior. Make sense?
I agree with your statement and your statement. It would be preferable to have someone that had that. But I feel like on what Sandy said, we need somebody that knows contracts and knows how to work. And a lot of times, somebody that's really good at contracts
Yeah.
is not so good at the labor part of it. So, they kind of tend to more concentrate. I mean, it would be great if we could
Yeah.
find somebody like that, or if once they start, they could do what you said and go to the
Right.
park and learn more about it. I agree with that, but I think we need to really concentrate on somebody that's good with contracts and knows all the ins and outs.
And so, and
Yeah.
I understand that's why you have it in additional desire, but
Yeah,
not required.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I just want to make sure we're not, because it's really important that we have somebody who knows how to deal with governmental agencies and nonprofit organizations that are going to be providing some of these grants. Understands how to deal with grants where we're doing reimbursement grants and how we're gonna be using 1A funds to do that and getting reimbursed, and that goes back to 1A funds. So someone has to have a pretty sophisticated financial skill set to understand how to do those things.
I'm doing it right now.
Well, then you're a pretty sophisticated skill set, but we'd really like to have somebody coming in who has that, not.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying, because I do agree that if you're operating in the world of fire mitigation grants and projects designed to mitigate against that, if you have zero understanding how wildfire manifests itself, then that might be problematic for your position. So I get why you want that education.
Yeah, and again, for me, the project development piece of it, not so much the grant management, the financial piece, but understand the prescription of the contractors we're trying to hire,
Right.
of what they're trying to accomplish. I don't want somebody.
And how
in
to
there-
tell them what we want them to
Right.
do. Why.
We've got to be able to direct some of that work, and some of that work has, either they come in with that experience or they learn that experience. So it's got to be a balance. It
So
can't be
that
all.
makes sense to me, and it also
financial
makes sense to me why you'd have to go consistent with the policy. You're not seeking a policy waiver on this. You do need to go out external. I think you're gonna need to cast a wide net for somebody with this broad array of skill sets. That's
I agree.
100%.
And I think that it would be great if they know how to run a chainsaw, but if they can go through all the paperwork and get us the grant.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're looking for.
Yeah,
In my opinion.
again,
I agree.
it's project development.
project development and
Not grant
management. And management.
It's project development and implementation.
And yeah, they have to be able to go out and watch a crew and understand that what they're doing is correct as well.
And I think
Yes.
also, I think this is a growing field.
Yes.
There
Yeah.
are many, as a matter of fact, we'll be going to a conference next month, actually before your next board meeting, what makes it even more important to get done. To actually
Some of those, great.
to actually start recruiting.
You know,
Yeah.
that's your priority there. Division Chief Langhammer right there.
Yeah, I know.
That,
To make it.
not a conference. I have no problem with this, certainly with the explanation of what we're trying to
Yeah.
achieve here.
I agree.
Jeff, how about you?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
So I think that the job description here is fine. And you know, I agree with you guys that this person needs to be um know about, you know, firefighting and, you know, wildfire mitigation and all that stuff. But his or her strongest attributes need to be in the area of project management.
all right, and do you want, I mean, I think that the way it reads, that's pretty clear, but is there
Yeah.
any change one wants to make sure that's?
Oh, I don't think there's any changes that you need to make to that. I think that during the, you know, you know, we all alluded to can be sussed out in the interview process.
Agreed. All right, then, any further comments on this job description? The what, okay, so then could I please have a motion to approve the new community risk reduction position, project specialist position, sorry. So I'm gonna just restate that. A motion to approve the new wildfire risk reduction project specialist job description.
I'll move to approve the new wildfire mitigation project specialist position job description as John just presented to us.
And could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, no. Jeff, how did you vote? I just need, I didn't hear you.
I voted yes.
Okay, thank you. All opposed, no. The motion carried. All right, so let's turn to the next job description, which is the fire code inspector.
25.
Yeah,
Again, general statement of duties, this position would report to Captain. Inspector 2 plan reviewer, which is Stacy. So not directly to me, but under her guidance. And again, conducts inspections, existing commercial occupancy, short-term vacation rentals, building modifications, remodels, tenant finishes, as well as operational inspections such as food trucks, tents, etc. Coordinates and implements. Going too fast. Educational programs, including fire code updates, best fire and life safety practices for businesses, other topics as identified by captain. So again, with the essential functions of, at the request of HR. So we can just go bullet by bullet. Professional, technical level fire inspections, commercial and public buildings. Communication is keenly important in this position. Clear communication and partnership. Again, knowledge of principles of fire prevention, hazmat, handling, storage and handling, fire suppression and detection, comprehensive fire protection engineering principles. Ability to utilize the International Fire Code and building codes and NFPA standards when performing your job functions. Respond to and address community and organizational inquiries and complaints related to adopted codes and standards, input, update, verify data with our record management system. May have to have a flexible schedule because of events, weekends, business needs sometimes requires inspections at different times. Prepare and disseminate fire prevention information, coordinate, implement educational programs along with, as identified with Captain, work closely with volunteers and delivery of public information. And again, that's a format of their duties as assigned and may respond to incidents as assigned in support of the district's mission.
How often do we do inspections on weekends?
How often what?
Do we do inspections on weekends? How often does that?
Event inspections, oh, you moved the cable.
Oh, sorry. Oops.
Event inspections, and Stacy could answer that. It ebbs and flows depending on the need.
More of them are events. Obviously, we have an event almost every single weekend during the summer and fall months of the year. So more of them are gonna be special events. But we do have some restaurants that like only open at 4:30. So if I end my day at 5, but I wanna hit the restaurants that are only serving dinner after work past 5 o'clock. So it just kind of depends on the business and how you schedule things, but the majority of them are gonna be special events.
So a lot of our weekend events, you have to go out on the side.
Correct.
Yes. Again, regular 40-hour work week with that. It's a non-exempt, so hourly position. Pay range for this one, I'm asking for that 60,000 to 70,000 annually. And that would be in the operations training, and this would be a change in policy 180. But having prevention up in those, and we'll talk about that if you're okay with that at the end, and back to that. Fire inspector 1 classification, which is the equivalent of what was listed as firefighter.
But no longer is, yeah, we've changed it so that there's operations and firefighting is separate from what risk reduction is, and so you'll see that when we get to the salary schedule portion, how that changes is being proposed.
And again, the preferred education, and at our discretion, any equivalent combination. Driving, acceptable driving record, looking for some experience if they have it. We consider this basically an entry level position. Needed to get that CPR AED within the first 3 months and complete those FEMA and NIMS classes within the first 3 months. Experiencing, developing and delivering education materials, we're also asking for that as one of the job skills. So additional 1-year fire service if they have it, and current ICC Fire Inspector 1, which would be great, but we want them to try to obtain that within 6 months if they don't have it. Competencies are the usual work environment, physical demands, or boilerplate language and all of our job descriptions basically.
Okay, any questions about policy 725, the fire code inspector 1 job description?
Me.
The residency not required again. We're not even gonna put like
We had a discussion about that and we chose to just leave it as not required. I mean, this be my preference to get a candidate, my best candidate that lives within our district. Because I think it works better that way. But we're not sure that we have the interest. So again, we want to generate a good pool of applicants.
I could see potentially on the pay and things like that, like what you're saying, but I mean, what I'm saying is we're not going to put a radius on it, like they need to be like the chief of police.
I think, is it also, this is not an emergency response fund position.
Right, it's,
Right. I'm just afraid if they live too far away, then when they're called in on Saturday to go do some inspections, then the gas prices are going to arise. And it's,
Still may be cheaper than trying to rent a place up here.
Well, I know, but if we put the radius and they can live in Loveland.
Yeah,
And there's some discussion from HR about can we require residency for a position?
for a non-emergency response position, yes, some of the legal requirements are,
Most residency
they say about
requirements are, most residency requirements are based around some specific functional need. And for us, that's the emergency response center.
I would think it's be difficult to be an inspector in the town that you lived in.
It can be, ask Stacy.
I think it is.
It can.
yeah. Well, and it's not, I do think there's still gonna be some legal issues around trying to restrict the employment of a non. Emergency response employee,
We're not.
it's not a firefighter, otherwise it's responded.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, I just wanted to bring it up, it's a point, if they live far away and they're coming in. Maybe 6 days in a week, all summer long. Then they can afford to live here, I mean, I don't know if anybody's been to the pump lately, but. It's,
We had those discussions, and again,
Okay.
we can't use that as a basis for hiring a person. If the best qualified candidate happens to live in Loveland, then they would have to understand that they're either commuting every day or coming up here. It's just that part of that initial communication, making sure it's clear,
okay,
expectation management when I do interviews of, it's.
right,
And we've had struggles with previous inspectors that were commuting that didn't live in the community and they didn't like it. And I had a lot of conversations about changing things just to accommodate that. So it goes either way. And the person just has to clearly understand what they're heading to when they take the job.
yeah, I have guys that drive up the hill to work for me, and they've been doing it. Longer than I've been in business, and they're good with it, and then I have other guys, they come to work and after a month of it, they're like, I'm not driving the Canyon. Okay, so,
And
Yeah, I
that's-
guess as long as you
Yeah,
talk to them about it,
that's expectation
Very
management in the interview process.
Yeah. okay, I appreciate that.
Okay, you've proposed another change, policy change here, 726.
Yeah, do you want to vote on these individually?
Oh, yeah, let's vote on that. Thank you, very appreciate that. All right, so any further discussion on, policy 725, which is the job description for the fire code inspector 1 position?
No.
All right, so then I'll entertain a motion to approve the new policy 725, which is the fire code inspector 1 job description. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
And may I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
All opposed, no. The motion carried. All right, so let's turn now to policy 726, which, you could propose a revision to.
Yeah, I basically took the existing, job description we had, that we hired Logan under. And amplified it a little bit, because what I see with the current structure, I'm seeing how important that educational piece is to project development. So these two positions will be working side by side. Really, the education piece feeds right into the project piece.
So this is not a new position, we're
Not a new
just
position.
changing the job description of Logan's
Right.
position, right? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt it appropriate to recognize what he's done over the last year. And move him into a similar level position as the new position coming in. So going from, he was in, I think, the firefighter category. When he was hired, going to a specialist one. That's similar to the.
So we're taking him out of firefighter category and we're just putting him into specialist position, because that's what this division is going to be doing. Primarily. Okay, that makes sense.
So really
So what are the changes?
the only tweaks, a little bit more about the, and some of the, I'm scrolling through it here. I'm moving things around, so now I'm getting used to being flip-flops. Okay. Some of the things I added was that NFPA certified wildfire mitigation specialist, which we put in the other one. I think that's important for what he's educating. That he continues that, fire instructor 1 I also put in there. And again, this is in a desired job to skills and certifications not required. ICS 300, again, for that depth within the organization, should we have a major incident. And there's a little bit more of supervising the volunteers as well as neighborhood ambassador program, which he has developed along with Claremont County. So he's heavily involved with supervising that, making sure that program continues to flourish. He works with them on associated grants through Claremont County. So I just want to recognize that, put it in his job description, as this is something we didn't know when we started the position, what it would grow into, but this is definitely going to feed into that project development position.
And
Sorry, I
the
could've
salary
backtracked.
change, the salary range stays the same or is it different?
Do what?
The salary range is
No,
that,
it changes from firefighter to specialist one. That's
and,
my request.
and so what was firefighter two? So what is, how much money are we talking about?
It's the same as fire code, but the same range as we just approved in fire code.
60.
So is that firefighter level before? So if you look at that in policy 180, which I also included in your packet and printed out for you. So it'd be 60,000 to 7192 was the range for the fire code inspector. And this one is the same as the other projects, as project structure was 71,052 to 83,120.
Right, and I'm just trying to get, so how much of an increase is it from where he presently?
I believe he's at step 2 of that program, so around 62,000.
So this would be an increase of about $8,000 or $9,000. No, it's about 9,000 on the low end and then scaling up. Okay,
I guess
so he would go into this at the low end. So we'd be giving him a raise of like 9,000 a year, essentially. Okay, and that math could be terrible because I'm not great at numbers that fast.
I think what's important here, and John is correct, is that both of our wildfire, our specialist positions, specialists,
We're wanting them to be equal.
they're both within the same grade. They might be at different steps, but they'll be in the same grade.
All right. It might be a good idea to look at this chart, I think, to understand. It's bad.
I had one question about this. Are these positions, since they're non-uniform positions, or are they uniform positions?
they're non-uniform.
So then they'd be under para then instead of FPPA?
I guess that would be up for the board to decide. I interpret our policy on that para is optional.
I didn't know if you're non-uniform, you could go to FPPA.
You can be FPPA, my understanding of FPPA is that the agency decides who's under FPPA. Like, uniform versus, I mean, there are agencies that have their administrative staff in FPPA.
So you're in para, right?
She's in
I'm
there.
in Kara, and I have a 357 or
450.
457.
And if I could add to that, the really only position that, well, the fire code position would be a FPPA as well, because I want that to be a uniform sworn. Logan is in this position already that we're tweaking a little bit, and he is a sworn firefighter as well. So I think the way I interpret the policy was that it is optional.
I think maybe the issue, if Logan
If he
were
left,
to move on
right,
and we replaced him with a comparable position, probably parent.
Okay.
policy 180. Or do you want to vote on?
Well, I think policy 180 is going to inform us, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like that might inform us more about what we're doing in policy 726.
Right, and really it's just in the tables. I don't think I updated the review date. We can update that if it's included tonight. So what I was recommending or suggesting in that top table, it was just operations and training. I am requesting for it to be operations, training and prevention. And then striking
Where I went.
down, striking the firefighter and lieutenant positions and putting in inspector 1, inspector 2 in place of that. So I don't think there's any intention of hiring firefighters and lieutenants right now as paid staff.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right. So operations and firefighting would be, yeah,
And then the plan review where Stacy is now is that captain position. And then fire marshal would be equivalent to a battalion chief. So I included those. Again, I did not touch the pay grades, just the titles. And again, just my suggestion. Our suggestion, we talked about it too.
and then in community risk reduction, non-uniform, you have assistant 1, assistant 2, specialist 1, 2, and manager, which
Those
is the
were-
same.
Those were already there.
They're already there, and they go away then?
For services and prevention, they stay. But instead of prevention, that's community risk reduction,
Gotcha.
separate from the code, fire code enforcement. Oh, fire code education. That specialist 1 is what the request for the 2 positions, that's 71, the third in the middle.
And where does this, revised job description for the position Logan currently holds, where does that fall?
I believe he's step 2 in the top.
Under prevention inspector 1?
Yeah, what used to be firefighter.
Okay.
And you also note under administration, you already made that change.
Yes, we've already made the change in red. So that board has already approved that, so we've got in the administration division. The different positions now are administrative specialist and then executive assistant to the fire chief. It's a change that's already been made, and so consistent with some of with the discussion we've been having on restructuring and reorganization around the community risk reduction division. This is, why are we calling it operations and training? Why are we putting operations and training in it then? Isn't it really more also risk reduction, training and prevention
Correct.
at the top?
No, I wanted to separate that out because of the uniformed and non-uniformed, the sworn and unsworn. Which is consistent with what those were before.
Yeah,
I really strongly feel fire code inspectors need to be a sworn position to enforce code.
right. No,
They're a firefighter now, it's another question.
well, and the fire marshal would have to be too,
Sworn
but it's a
position.
kind of- yeah. Okay, and so then what you're looking at here is you're changing in policy 726, which is the education specialist, really. And you're shifting that to,
Community risk reduction.
I just don't see the same position. I see education specialist on the title. But you're calling it a prevention inspector too. Now, where does the risk reduction education specialist job description and such?
Specialist 1 under community risk reduction in the center, the middle table.
Thank you. Okay, that's where I'm getting
Yeah.
confused. I thought I was trying to figure out how this could possibly correlate to prevention. Okay.
Because there
Inspector.
really is no support services position in the
Thank you.
table, I struck it,
Gotcha.
and prevention moved up.
I see.
Uniform,
I see.
community risk reduction will now be in. I
Thank
see.
you. Sorry about that. That makes sense to me. Okay, so you're looking at him as being in special category specialist 2.
Specialist.
I'm sorry, specialist 1.
Specialist 1.
All right, so why don't, now that we've kind of have the overview of how this all correlates with the salary ranges and things like that, I'd like to go back to policy 726, which is the wildfire risk reduction education specialist job description. Now that we have a sense of what we're talking about here in terms of an increase in pay for the person currently occupying that position, and of bolstering his duties that correlate more with having a interrelationship with this other position that we're going to be hiring for. I'd like to open that for discussion.
And is Logan the one that's going back to, like, so last year he did a bunch of talks with people in the area.
Is he the one that's going back to the first of the year to see if those people followed through, how much they followed through with, or is that something else?
That's something.
And something else, and we decided to wait on that with everything else that's going on for the moment. That's a great idea, but trying to implement that before the summer was gonna be a true challenge. With the other hiring new positions and all the other,
I guess, are you considering having him do that? Whenever it comes about?
we might if he has the bandwidth. Right now, I mean, you'll see it in my chief's report, he's still getting a lot of requests for home emission zone assessments. So yes, it's something we're interested in studying that. And providing effectiveness. I think we'll get more information if he's done it for 2 years than just 1 year. Because give those people time to person the budget, find the time, hire somebody. Maybe a little bit premature to be going back saying, did you get your mitigation work done? I think it's an important thing to find out. But we're not looking at that in 2026 right now.
Yeah, we had discussions with CSU School of Forestry of getting a forestry intern to come. We just ran out.
Yeah, that's
we
what I
just
thought
ran
you were
out-
doing.
We just ran out of bid. Good ability to get that done.
Could we send an email questionnaire or some survey to those individuals that he did? See if we get any information back from them. Say, no, I didn't have time to do it, or yes, I did do these things.
That was the project we were gonna try to do. we're just flat out of.
No,
ability to
but is that
do that.
something that we, not actually sending somebody there, but just doing an email?
We can certainly look at other ways, and again, I would lean on Logan to come up with an appropriate way. He's so focused on new ignition zone assessments, I don't wanna shift that focus until maybe I see a little bit of a slowdown in that demand.
Okay.
And that's when I think it's appropriate for us to really start studying it and see how effective it is. I mean, I'm open to other ideas, but that idea, Chief and I talked about it and just decided the bandwidth isn't there to develop a new job description, to hire an intern, to know how we're gonna train an intern and how we're gonna keep an intern busy. Next year, yeah, we have time to get there, and part of Logan's responsibility would be to develop that program for next summer, not this summer.
Okay.
And I can agree with, I can agree with, I think it would be better to wait for that second year. I feel like you get more information. I would just like to see that put in Logan's realm.
Yeah.
Not because he's not busy enough, but he knows what he talks to these people about. He has a personal relationship with these people. And if we send out an email or send some college kid out there, they're gonna be like, yeah, I ain't got time for you.
Did we add?
I mean,
did we
a lot of
add
people.
bullet point to the functions that there will be a subsequent follow-up on home assessments?
Yeah,
We don't have to
I
put a
can add that, and
deadline.
again, a job description is a guideline, not a,
Yeah,
you will do this, but yeah, it's on our radar. It was just a choice to not.
We just couldn't get it done this year.
And I agree
covered with
with
some of
that.
the general stuff anyway, and some of the general things would cover that thing anyway,
Yeah,
I mean. So I don't think we need to send you back to rewrite anything, I think it's probably there.
Yeah.
If you agree.
Yeah,
I do agree. I would like to see it
Yeah.
put in his realm just
Yeah.
because of that personability thing.
Well, I think.
And I would wait for a year because we do have a lot going on.
And we
Another
can get
year.
him some help with an intern or something like that, if that
Right.
comes around as being a necessary thing at the time.
He has that kind of mindset, so
Yeah.
he's very, yeah. And I hear that direction, and I will certainly talk to him about that, and we will put that in the plan. I don't know that it needs to be bulleted out in the job description, but.
Okay, so we need for this. Any further discussion on the revision to policy 726? The wildfire risk reduction education specialist job description, which will result in a bump in pay for Logan in the current position he holds.
Me.
All right, may I have a motion then to approve modification to policy number 726, the job description for the wildfire risk reduction education specialist?
I'll make that motion to approve policy 726. This reduction specialist.
And may I have a second, please?
Second that.
You said it at the same time. Okay, Tippy, did you say second? I think you
Yep.
did. All right, any further discussion on this issue? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carried.
I'd just like to say thank you all for the great discussion and the willingness to look at this change. So,
And thank you for putting together such a great pack of materials for us.
I do have a potential question. I mean, I know this is all done, but I do have a question about it. Is there, it seems like this is really close to what Logan's doing. Are we trying to move him up into a position or is he gonna stay kind of where he's at?
no, this is a growth opportunity for Logan. The intent is to move Logan. This isn't a new position or make him apply for it. The intent stated was
I'm talking about for that other position that we voted on.
project specialist.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a separate thing entirely.
right. But I mean, they work hand in hand and it seems like Logan does a lot of that stuff. So I'm
They're,
just,
they're gonna feed off each other. I think
Yeah.
that's,
but we're
Our
putting
path
out
is
for that
success.
other
Yes.
position
yes.
Yeah.
we have-
externally.
And that's
or
part of the
internally,
intent, is
externally.
that we allowed to work together, especially when you've got so many grants to be managed, that's gonna be a position, I think, that
Yeah.
may end up needing a lot of help in the. short
Yeah, and
run.
I agree that they are feeding and they are working really close. That's why I'm asking the question, are we thinking that Logan can do that other position or are we're putting that one out for
Yeah,
hire?
I've had discussions with my staff. I've had discussions with Logan. His background is education. His college degree is education. He really likes what he's doing right now.
Mhm.
So I just want to support that and keep him going and keep him
I
pushing
agree.
forward.
I agree.
Perfect. Can I have you all take a look at policy 180 again? Miranda, would you mind bringing that up? I think this is the last issue on the policy. Revisions necessitated by the restructuring, and then I think that I'm going, after tonight, going to get to announce the restructuring committee gets to go by and be done. Just in time for my next committee, oh joy. So policy number 180 here is what we just were looking at, and Division Chief Lamcamer kind of walked us through the rationale behind the modifications that are in it. So I'm asking if any of you have any questions, and I'm just gonna open it to discussion about the revisions to policy number 180.
I think John made it pretty clear as far as what the changes were.
Yeah,
Yeah, good job, John.
Thank you.
Very
I
good.
thought he made it pretty clear. I don't have any questions.
I'm gonna have to track these lines when I go to do minutes. This is gonna be very interesting. All right, any further discussion then on policy 180 revisions? All right, then may I have a motion, please, to approve the revised policy 180 referring to employee payroll, salary ranges, and pension policy?
I'll make the motion.
And may I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion on this issue? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion carried. All right, so let's see about. All right, the next item is 7E, discussion action related board conduct policy. And I distributed to all of you separately, actually, the board conduct policy, Board of Directors Code of Ethics. It was prepared initially by the district's attorney. I reviewed it very carefully, made some pretty significant revisions to it, tightening it up a bit, sent those back to the attorney, who then reviewed those changes. And then we came up with something we're very happy with in terms of what at least the two lawyers around thought was a good idea for the Board of Directors Code of Ethics. Have you all had an opportunity to review it? And I will open it up for discussion.
I did review it because you emailed it to me. But I would like to know what were the two major things that you had to change, because it wasn't a red line copy, so.
Oh, well, so there was a lot of language changing things. So, well, that's a good question. I went through and rewrote some stuff because I didn't I wanted it to have tighter language from a grammatical standpoint. They weren't that substantive, hugely
I mean,
substantive.
I'm in agreement with the,
Yeah,
I'm just kind of curious, so.
let me go through it and see if I can figure that one. There was one about there was something about wearing like logos and insignia. And I was concerned about, whether the way it was so broadly written that if one of us stops at the grocery store on the way home, it could potentially be characterized as a personal benefit, or people might think that that's, so it just wasn't written very clearly. So on that one, for example, we made it pretty clear. Where is it? Because it was under use of public resources, and, I think the intent of the legislature and what I discussed with Ashley was it's really using district funds, property, facilities, equipment, technology, email accounts, staff time for personal or for private, political, or campaign related purposes, which made more sense than the way we had like logos and insignia being used for quote personal purposes. Technically, they're always personal when you're putting them on your body. So the way it was written, it led to the possibility of potential problems in a code of ethics when we really didn't need to create that problem, since we're issued for them, for example, by the districts and the other places sometimes than here. Certainly after a meeting, that was one. There was another one on, I think it was under interactions with staff. It had a kind of broad prohibition of coming to the fire department, which didn't make a lot of sense to me because we often have to come here to meet with people. And we often do it, as part of, like, there's a designated person, for example, who's the point of contact for the treasurer, a designated person who hopefully will be the point of contact for the board on minutes and things like that. And having something where you have to go to the fire chief all the time to simply work with the person that's the designated point of contact didn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. So that was another change that I made. I tightened the language up on that so it was clear. So I made sure that we should, whenever possible, coordinate with the fire chief before communicating directly with staff, unless a specific staff member is designated as the director's point of contact on a particular issue. So I made sure that was in there so that there's, it's not so unwieldy to deal with the point of contact person. And then, but also added that we should avoid requesting extensive information from staff, so that protects them as well. So I kind of modified that provision quite a bit on that issue. And the rest of it was pretty grammatical.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions about the board of directors code of ethics? Jeff,
Right.
are you there?
Sorry, I was muted. As I said in my mail to you, I thought this was well done, and I don't have any changes or comments or anything other than, I think it's good to go.
Okay. All right, so any further discussion on this issue? All right. Then I think we're gonna adopt this as a resolution. And this will be attached to the resolution, so we only need to do it as a resolution. So I would like a motion to adopt resolution 2026-06, resolution adopting the Board of Directors Code of Ethics that is going to be attached to that. Is it? No? Attached here to is Exhibit A, so paragraph 1 says that. So I'm going to restate the motion. A motion to adopt resolution number 2026-06, resolution adopting the Board of Directors Code of Ethics. May I have that motion, please?
I'll move to adopt resolution number 2026-06, adopting the Board of Directors Code of Ethics.
All right, may I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I
All opposed, no. The motion carried. All right, so, could you bring up the organization chart now, Miranda? I'm so sorry that you guys didn't, know to click on the link.
We did, just did.
Oh, you didn't want?
Yeah, just for the future, I hope you all know where to find all of our meeting docs on our webpage. Okay, because that's where everything is.
The link worked
But
for me. I didn't have a problem with the link, so
I
didn't.
think the one I sent to them auto-corrected and added a period at the end.
Oh.
And so that it made the link not work.
Okay, well, that'll do it. You wanna make that a little bit smaller so that if they can see, yeah, there you go, the whole thing. And I printed it out here, so I'm showing it to Scott. So this is, we had talked, last time when I presented on the work of the restructuring committee about the sort of new organizational structure of the entire department. And be my friend, so I can see those things. I can't quite read what's up there. So you can see that, as is appropriate, the citizens of the community are at the top of the chart. The board of directors answer to. The fire chief then is next in the chain of command, or the organizational structure of our district. We have off the side here and reporting to the fire chief, the, executive assistant to the fire chief and the administrative specialist, and we have in past meetings approved both of those positions and the job descriptions associated with them. As requested at the last meeting when I was presenting to you the organizational chart, we made sure to add volunteer chaplain here as well, in this area, reporting to the fire chief. Next, then we have the two main divisions of the district, the operations and training division chief, and then the community risk reduction division chief. Taking operations, we've already, we've now approved everything, but we approved, in some past meetings, the training and volunteer coordinator captain. We also approved the operations and training division chief job description and have, congratulations, Justin, recently hired, our permanent division chief of that division. And then, of course, reporting and supervised and managed by that division chief are the volunteer captains, the volunteer lieutenants and firefighters, and the auxiliary. Last meeting, we discussed the structure of the community risk reduction division. So we've already in the past approved the second the fire inspector position that we just approved the job description for. That person will be reporting to the fire prevention captain. And then we created the the wildfire project specialist position. We approved the job description for that today. And we already have, but have just modified today, the wildfire education specialist provision. The colors are really to denote paid positions that are yellow. Orange are the grants in 1A paid positions, and then green references the volunteer positions. So I promised you I would come back with a final organizational chart that reflected the work of the restructuring committee as well as the work of this board. And this has been reviewed thoroughly by Chief. In fact, he's the one who had to do it because my computer and I do not get along when it comes to trying to do these things. Oh, it was Miranda that did it. So thankfully there was someone skilled enough to put this into boxes and not have the boxes flying all over the screen. And so I'm presenting it here this is the recommendation of the restructuring subcommittee to be the final organizational chart of the district.
Yeah, President Smith, attached to that is the actual description of the functions under the one of the positions.
Yes, and in the board packet, and you've seen the descriptions before, but is also the I would print it out because I'd already seen it before, is the, you know, duties that go along with it. And you've seen this in a couple of prior meetings.
I think this is good. I would like to also see, and probably from Chief, John would put together one that actually has all the different squads and names and everybody that's in that more detailed.
Right.
Organizational.
We didn't. Justin will have that within his division, but, we thought that at your level at the board, it's the major pieces.
And I agree, and that's fine, but I would still like to
They'll
see
have-
one that's,
They'll
yeah,
have,
everybody involved in there, so.
And of course, that'll change a little bit now that Justin is ascending to the position he's ascending to, so he's going to have to decide how many captains he thinks is appropriate and all of those things, and so, you know, but at the board level, I figured this was probably sufficient for our purposes in terms of organizational structure. And, you know, if we want to, over time, as that fleshes out in terms of how many volunteer captains we have, how is that all going to look? I'm sure Justin in one of his fine reports to our board can talk to us about how he's decided to organize that division. Any further, just, you want to see this?
that's all.
Alright, any further discussion, more discussion about the organizational chart?
I was gonna say, this.
What we
Scott. Just, I would like to see after it is actually done and. We get all the separate captains, however many there is, because I know that was a discussion that we had at some point, whether we needed 2 or if we needed 3. And so I would like to see how that goes, not that it has anything to do with the board level, but I would still like to see it.
And we can always add that to it. I think this basic organizational structure won't change, even if that. And that, of course, will by necessity change since one of the captains is becoming the division chief, so. But at our level, this really gives us, I think, a good.
Yeah.
Point, and what I like about the organizational structure and the reason that I am confident in it is that. It's organized around what the district needs to do. And how it needs to be poised both for growth and response to crisis. And it enables the kind of flexibility to grow. It's not designed around people or personalities, it's designed around needs and positions and what jobs we need to see done. And so I like the structural flexibility that it provides to the district. And I do think it poises the district for potential growth, and by growth, I mean in the sense that we are going to be dealing with, I think, more and more grants and more federal monies and other types of monies as the wildfire risks grow and as we start getting more of those types of grants, and we're going to have the bandwidth and the fundamental organizational structure constructed in a way that enables us to manage those things. So that's the basis for my
I agree.
recommendation.
I agree. Very good job.
Okay. Any other questions about or comments or discussion you want to have about the recommended organizational structuring? Jeff?
No, I just, this is very straightforward. Easy to understand and, you know, is a good, clear path to just what you said to, you know, manage the future. So well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else you want to say, Alexis? All right, so I would like then to, I've got it found it. I'd like to entertain a motion then to approve the organizational chart that has been presented for the structure of the district.
I'll make a motion to approve the organizational chart.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
All opposed, no. The motion carried. All right, item 7G, discussion action, Ray interim fire chief work plan. And I will turn it over to Chief Jones to.
Thank you. Well, with the adoption of the, process and the, schedule for the fire chief recruitment process, I think now we have some definite where we're going. I wanted to talk to you briefly tonight about what your expectations of me are over the next several months. I've given you the, plan that I presented to you 3 or 4 months ago and where we are with those. And I want to suggest the 7 following priorities of where I need to be spending my time for the next 4 to 5 months. Obviously, the administrative support to the fire chief recruitment selection process. That'll be heaviest in mid-April, late May, and certainly in mid-June. Selection and onboarding of our second administrative position. We had 16 applicants for that position. Miranda and John and I will be interviewing 7 of them next week, so we'll be bringing on that. That's gonna be a project because we had 2 administrative positions. We glommed it all together, and Miranda's been kind of working all those types of things. Now we're gonna have to take those apart and make them work even better. So we're really, but it's gonna take time and effort to get there. Onboarding of our new operations chief. I mean, my responsibility there is not gonna be heavy, but we're gonna be working together to make that happen. Preparing for the April work session on financial independence. That's gonna be a big project for the next 3 or 4 weeks for me to get that ready. We're already scheduled for that work session at your April meeting. We need to start talking about a budget amendment for July and digging into this year's budget to see where we are. I think we recognized early this year, even late last year, that we were kind of shooting in the dark on some of our budget stuff because we just changed contractors with that. So we need to go back and take a look at that. We especially want to take a look at where we are with our contracts, legal, HR, finance. We need to start watching that pretty close, as well as this whole concept of providing a better tracking of our expenses and revenues for 1A grants. So that's part of that project, and we think that will culminate in a budget amendment process probably in July. And then certainly I'm going to talk here in just a couple of minutes about some of the elements of a public information and external communication strategy. We got a lot of things we'd like to do. And we are doing some of them, but you know, it's an issue of funding of what we can get done. So those are the main 7 priorities that I've kind of outlined. I'm not looking for any action from the board other than if you have any input. It's also going to be our call load goes up in the summer by what, 30 or 40% per month, even though I'm definitely not responding to calls myself on a regular basis. That still does take response from my end. Significant incidents, PIO, those kinds of things go on. So those are the 7 things that I'd like to spend my time on in my remaining 4 or 5 months with you.
Any discussion?
Sounds good.
I just have to say that I very much appreciate working with you. We have, as you know, I have my weekly one-on-ones with the chief. Whoever happens to be sitting in the seat, because that's part of my duties as the president of the board. And you have been a remarkable person to work with. And I appreciate everything that you do and the dedication that you bring to it. It's been really a fabulous experience to work with you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, but the real work gets done.
I know, but we've been doing this
By
now.
these folks right
It's been a good thing, and I just really appreciate how much time and effort you've put into this. We now have some great division chief. I'm very excited about that. We had great candidates to review as part of the process. I think the process worked very well and was very, fair and thorough. you know, we've worked really well to bring, some structure into the community, risk reduction division that I think, I mean, John, you've done fantastic with that. Really worked well with us and very, much appreciate the time you put into it. So I really don't, I mean, the only thing there's this issue of the tax,
Yeah.
vote that's kind of out there. And so I guess I would like to see kind of keeping that
Right.
in mind to a point, as you're dealing with all these other things as well.
That is one of the points.
There is a-
Prepared or, preparing for the April board work session.
Oh, okay, for the tax election, okay,
And,
yeah.
and see where we go from there.
And see where we go from this, so that's really good, so that works for me 100%. Does anybody else have anything to add?
Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Okay, I would like to propose we turn to H, and could we, after that, take just a quick break for one of us to run down the hall and then come back? Thank you. So in between H and reports, we're going to take a short break. Item H is discussion action, Ray, public engagement / external communication strategy and alternatives.
I provided you here kind of an outline of a public information and external communication strategy with a whole lot of things that we could possibly be doing. What is in bold and in italic are things that we're working on right now within our resources that we have. We have objectives, we have target audiences here. I won't go through them because I know we have a time issue. But if you look at the programmatic approaches and the social media, we're starting to use social media a little bit more now than we have in the last few months. Personal interest, firefighter of the month, promotions, awards. We're starting to do that kind of stuff. We're just barely stepping back into that a little bit. I think Stacy and Miranda have done some of that. We'll do a little bit more real-time incident information. We're providing that, starting to provide that a little bit more. I provide you with the significant incident briefings. We are doing, Stacy is our master at community and special events tables and doing all those kinds of things. And those are things we've done in the past. The news media contact, we are doing traditional media releases. I'm serving as the district's PIO right now, as far as for incidents. And you've seen, we've had some of those recently and we have done press releases on those. We have started opinion pieces on major policy issues. Some of you may have seen, when the bell rings. That's our column that I do. And actually you can see we did volunteers and our awards last month. In April, I'm gonna do one on wildfire. In May, on the new chief process, how we're gonna select the new chief. June, what is a fire district? How's it governed? How's it funding? What's our relationship with the town? July, I'll do one on combination staffing, what it is, how it works. And then probably in August, our new fire chief. And then hopefully the new fire chief will pick this up and go forward with it. One thing that, we're trying to do is trying to update our website. We've got a website, it's got stuff on it, we're adding stuff to it. But it would be nice to have an entirely new, a really nice new website. And I'm talking to some contractors about that. For instance, we have one of our sister districts is hiring a halftime social media person, so maybe we can tag on that, get a few hours there. So there's several things, but that's a project that is probably beyond our capability of doing, without putting some resources behind it. Other than that, this just gives you an idea what can be done, and kind of what we're doing now, and as if we can free up some resources, especially when we bring on our next administrative position, that way we can do more. But it's all important, to get done. It's just a matter of resources. Not asking for any action on it.
Does the board have any input, questions, anything for chief? All right, well, if you all wouldn't mind, maybe take a 10-minute break, maybe 5 minutes. 5-minute break, we need a 5-minute break.
5 minutes.
I'll go as fast as I can. So, we'll, now resume after a brief 5-minute recess. And turn to item 8 on the agenda, reports, and we'll start with the Community Risk Reduction Division.
Right, thank you. Wildfire Prevention Education Specialist as of today. Logan has completed 28 home assessments and 7 neighborhood assessments year to date. I will add to his brief report that he did a neighborhood assessment last week, but they said they had 100% of the homeowners on board with fuel reduction projects. So we'll talk about education feeding into projects. That's a good opportunity to talk to them and get some work done. Logan presented to visit us Park last week on the Gateway to the Rockies grant. Partnerships like that are gonna be really important as we move forward as far as communicating with our residents, our guests, everybody in our valley. So we talked to them about the grant and they asked us to come to their board meeting. So Lumber County also had a representative there and we presented, so it was good. Captain Sutherland working on plan review still a lot. With Whitney, who's the new fire marshal services business, our third party contractor. Multiple projects coming up. If you haven't seen the big pile of dirt in front of Stanley Hotel, that's one of the big projects coming up, Film Center and the addition to the hotel. Both really big projects. And Captain Sutherland has continued to follow up with Stanley and be performing re-inspections for their properties as follow up from the annual inspection from December. Continuing inspections as needed, mostly on new construction, special events. She's also working on 3 fire investigations and working with DFPC on the Expedition Lodge fire investigation. Captain Sutherland provided training for auxiliary members for inspections on special events and tents and beginning a ride-along training. The next event is this week, those in Dead Guy Days. Captain Sutherland will be giving a presentation next week to the Afternoon Club on emergency preparedness. I gotta know it was funny, something about frozen Dead Guy Days.
I don't know. It's funny.
Thought that.
Dan said Dead Guy. Should go. Working on Stacy's working on a presentation for EVICS, family, friends and family, a child care program to provide them with fire safety information and home assessments. This will be an annual course for their program participants. So this is folks that do home daycare, so making sure they do it safely. Myself and Captain Sutherland recommended the state of fire restrictions for the district. Looking to be proactive with the increasing visitation and just the weather. Spring break, I think, has brought more people in our community. And I'm not seeing any substantial precipitation in the forecast. Heat and wind. If we see a change, we'll talk about making the change, but right now, and just to tag on to that, Lumber County is considering fire restrictions next week, Tuesday at their county commissioners meeting, and their recommendation, I think we'll go to May 2nd. They're recommending stage 1, like similar to what we did. Still working on agreements for the CWPG Thunder Mountain project. That's been a bit of a challenge, but we're getting close with the 20 acres. Really need to get going on the RFP for the rest of that project. And I'm hoping to partner with Willen from the Watershed Coalition to get that out here in the next month or 2. Still working on grant implementation for the 2023 Coast Swap, the 2022 Fur Worm, 2023 CWG Thunder Mountain, and the 2025 Coast Swap grant. I attended a mandatory orientation with the Division of Natural Resources staff for the 2025 Coast Swap, so I checked that box. They have a tentative schedule for us in late June, and it's an 8-week project, so depending on when they start in June, it'll wrap up in August. We've already got their campgrounds reserved, they've already got everything lining up for that project, so that'll be again up on Curry Drive on the Tramway property, continuing the work we did with the junipers up there last Coast Swap grant. So all 3 prevention staff are currently in Instructor 1 training, so that's going well for them. And thank you to Captain Thomas, Interim Division Chief Thomas, as we're in this transition for teaching that class. I know they're having fun. continue to participate, or had been participating in the reorg committee, working on those job descriptions, so that did eat up a little bandwidth. I continue to attend partner meetings when possible, and I gave you a long list of those partner meetings, and the newest one I meet tomorrow, I believe, with Calabasas Park. They wanted some stakeholder input from us for the water master plan. So I don't even know the scope yet of what they're asking for, but I'll meet with them and find out. I'm also participating again in the hazard mitigation plan update. Saw a little bit of work hanging for me to do that. And just a reminder for everyone, Steve Tom's Celebration of Life will be Saturday at 11 at the Rouge Auditorium at the Y. We plan to have 2 apparatus there, a ladder truck and a type 1. And I didn't finish my sentence. I will do a bell ceremony at the end of the service.
There you go.
I had
There you
the
go.
thought. And then facilities, we lost our beautiful 40-foot blue spruce that was within that 0 to 5 foot zone, so we. Mother Nature took care of a little mitigation problem for us. It's been processed and cleaned up. Michael Barnhouse and Trevor Idle I think Trevor took the wood for firewood. They processed it right away. I mean, this happened quick. And thanks to Justin and Skip, they were here within an hour with a piece of equipment I'm really jealous of, a grappler on the front end loader. That thing's awesome. It pulled the tree back. We cut it up into a few sections and he moved it away. And the slash from that will be taken care of by the parks crew. I asked them today if they would come chip it next time they had to chip her out. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Any questions for Division Chief Lincoln? All right, moving to Operations and Training Division.
Okay, in training, this Thursday and Saturday are testing days for our Instructor 1 class. So we'll be finishing that up this week. Thursday is the JPR testing where they have to present a class. And then Saturday is the written testing where we have a DFPC proctor, I should say the DFPC proctor, come up with the case of iPads and conduct the written testing. That'll be right here in the classroom. Finished up Wildland Month. Last time we met, that was upcoming. We went through 3 different weeks. So we have 20 current red cards. We have some folks who need to do some training to get their red card current again. But that was what this month was about, kind of getting everybody ramped up. Last week we did shelter deployments, which was great. We went a little more in depth than we have in a while. So we did that. We did some hose deployments and things that we do on typical wildland fire stuff. So it was good to kind of knock the rust off and get everybody on the same page there. This week there's a volunteer meeting. So tomorrow is a volunteer meeting. Next week is family dinner with, we're actually gonna have training at the end. It's something that we kind of used to do and we got away from it just to have the family more involved, but we're having Power and Communications come in. They're gonna bring their training trailer. They canceled because they had, power poles down in Allen's Park last time. And so they're gonna bring the training trailer in, so it's kind of a family friendly training that we're gonna be having afterwards. And that's Squad 2's dinner. And then we get started on 3 weeks of rescue training, man versus machine, some firefighter rescue stuff, all that to finish out the month. Saturday, I presented at the senior symposium for about 70 people out at the United Methodist Church. I did a presentation on community mobility. And then I'm getting started on the Wildland Incident Qualification System. DFPC audited us this year, so we have some needs that I need to fill up on that. So that's what I'm working on in training. In operations, working on a proposal to put Starlink in command vehicles, just to kind of improve communications when we're down 34, especially, or in any of the funny areas or areas we could potentially be in. Because we can do our phones to the internet service. And I've tested it up in Johnny Park in the middle of nowhere where you really don't have any service. And Captain Kearney is very familiar with that. And we've been talking about that together. Staff 73 is going in to get repaired. It has a coolant leak. And I'm told that the easiest way to repair it is take the body off. So that'll be going in next week to get repaired. So that'll be up and ready to roll after that. And then, working with dispatch, on clarifying alarm levels. There was some discrepancies there. And trying to clear that up, as far as we were thinking certain people were coming on certain alarm levels. And dispatch says, well, no, that's not how it's built out in CAD. So working on figuring out what is there. And just clarifying that so we know who's coming when we upgrade an alarm. That's what I got.
And go ahead.
I'd like to say, I really appreciate you stepping up to the plate and
Took the
taking
words
care
out
of
of my
the
mouth.
position while we were in need. I
Yeah.
appreciate it very much. You did a bang up job.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys putting your trust in me. And I worked real hard just to make sure we kept on par with what things needed to be taken care of. And I'm really looking forward to Justin coming in. So I think Chief made an awesome decision there. And I look forward to what we're gonna be able to do as a division.
Nice.
Really very much appreciate how quickly and how effectively you stepped into this role and what a great job you did, how hard you worked doing it. So you were very, very much appreciated by us. So thank you.
Very much. Especially with your other room, because nobody filled that spot.
Nobody did that.
So thank you.
There's probably someone else in the room who knows about doing two jobs.
Yeah.
But you know, this department is made up of some people that have a lot of dedication to this district and to this department and who do what it takes. And you're right. We appreciate it. All right, so let's move on. If there's any other questions for interim division chief? No, okay, so let's turn to the volunteer captain.
Yeah, so to date, we've had 177 calls. 57 calls just this month in March, and it's not even the end of the month yet. Looking back, that's a 36% increase from 2025. So our calls are growing, and we have a lot of calls. I think that we're gonna see, depending on the weather, probably more calls for service of smoke reports and people just being cautious of seeing smoke, which we appreciate, because the faster they report it, the faster we can get there, and if it is truly a fire. So that's a pretty good increase in calls from last year. We're currently at 36 members. We've lost a couple over the last 2 months, I guess. I think we're losing a couple this month, which is that 36 number. But we do have 3 new members that are in the process, so we're gonna be right back to where we started the year at 39 members. Currently sitting at 8 auxiliary members. I believe there's 2 that are working through some stuff, or maybe 1 working through some stuff. So the goal is to build auxiliary up to 15 would be our goal. Because they take vacations and not around, and they do a lot of work for us. So I think getting that number to 15 is a goal of the auxiliary and mine. Effective last week, Lieutenant Melner has taken over the liaison position that I was serving with the auxiliary, transitioning to my new role, and all the job duties that we've seen on the list. Felt like that was something that I kindly asked Nathan, and he took it over for me. So I think they
Thank you.
transition into that perfectly and take care of the auxiliary members. I was gonna mention Steve Tom's memorial service. For those of you that would know, he was 25 years as a volunteer member in the community. So I hope we show out really well for him this weekend, and it should be nice. This weekend, we also are participating in the Polar Plunge, where we send some swift water. So we're not dive rescue, right?
Ice rescue.
Ice rescue, there's no ice, but they will jump into some cold water, and we provide assistance there in case somebody can't get out of, I believe it's at the Stanley, I haven't been told, but provide assistance if somebody needs help getting out. Significant calls, I'm not sure, I wasn't here at the last month's meeting, but the Expedition Lodge, I think we're all pretty familiar with that call. It was a significant structure fire for us. We had the Lake Estes Resort Fire this week or the week before, middle of the night. Their pavilion bathroom started on fire. Winds were 90 miles an hour over there. And, our troops did a really good job on stopping that fire. It was the construction of the building helped, but getting in there and putting that out in some pretty tough weather conditions. We also had the Johnson Lane wildland fire. Ended up to be a 10 by 30, is that 10 by 30 wildland fire that we, actually somebody or somebody over on Highway 7, seen the smoke. Not much smoke coming up from it, but we got there quick and were able to get a line around that and put that fire out fairly fast to where it didn't put up a huge column of smoke. So that's a good thing. I think that's all. Obviously, this might be my last board meeting as the captain liaison. I'm looking forward to my next role as the operations chief. So I'll be serving differently, and I'm excited to work with Chris. I think Chris and I are gonna make a really good team and do good things. So that's all I have.
Any questions, comments from board members? Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you for your report. Chief.
Hey, back cleanup here. I just spent three days going to baseball games, so I can say that cleanup. I mentioned it before, we will be interviewing 7 candidates for the other administrative position next week, so hopefully we get that filled and have a new person sitting, or at least learning the ropes from Brenda doing this. Tomorrow night at the volunteer meeting, we will be giving them a briefing on our member support programs that we have, of which we have 3. Looking forward to that, as well as I'll be briefing them on the chief selection and recruitment process as well. Just to kind of a heads up for board members, Special District Association usually has workshops in June. I have not seen those yet. They've not sent out dates on those yet. So I don't know whether they're gonna do them or not. Usually they're out about now. So when they do come out, I'll send them out to you. Again, that gets into that issue of meetings and all that kind of stuff. SDA conference is September 9th to 15th. So if you're interested in going to that, put that on your calendar, September 15th, 16th, and 17th, I'm sorry, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in September. Again, if more than 2 members go to that, then you have to deal with the open meeting thing, but it's not big deal. You just announce it. That's your goal. So anyway, that's always a great conference. In April, our finance person, Ben, will be here and he wants to talk to us about doing some more detail work on the 1A in grants accounting process and how we set that up. He suggested that meeting with either the budget committee, which I think was Scott and Ryan, or Ryan and Sandy, I mean.
Scott.
Yeah, if if you think that's a budget committee thing or is it special, whatever it is. So we'll probably do a couple hour session with him, with probably Scott and Ryan and John and I probably are working through that issue. And the last thing I have, and I think many people have said it already, I'm really excited to have Justin on board. And everybody has already mentioned that, but Chris has just done a bang up job of serving in this role and stepping forward and doing that. I can't thank him enough for being part of that. I am looking forward to him getting back to his other position though, because boy, I'll tell you what, he's been doing 2 jobs at the same time. And training next to going to calls, training is the most important thing. Certainly we have fire prevention. And that's important too, but as far as the operations side of the organization, there's nothing more important than we do than doing the training. And we have the best training program that I have ever seen in a volunteer organization, rivaling a lot of paid organizations. And we have Chris to thank for that, as well as many people in our organization. With that, I'm done.
Any questions for Chief? All right, so turning to item 9, unfinished or old business. I do have to just say that I will reiterate again, the restructuring committee has completed its work and is going to cease to exist. And Pippi's going to remind me that I'm on a new committee now, but I just wanted to, and as a consequence of that, though, so is I consolidated the other committee that was the prevention department division that's now been renamed, then that became consolidated, so that work is also done. So, you know, the good news about that to my mind is that we're really making progress on getting the work of this board done. I know it means we have excessively long board meetings like tonight, but you know, I think we're making a difference and I'm really proud of this board and I enjoy working with all of you. So let's move to new business. Anybody have any new business that they would like to? You just want me to get done. I hearing no new business. I'm going to make the following announcement. Work session on financial independence and tax selection issues is going to be Monday, April 27th at 3 p.m. in advance of our regularly scheduled board meeting on the same date at 4:30. And there being nothing further, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
I can't even write it down fast enough. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. We're adjourned.